My name is Adrian Dorey. I grew up on the reserve in Shubenacadie. I've lived there my whole life. I went to East Hants when I was going to school. Currently, I'm working at the Source. It's basically my life. Gender identity is a very difficult term in general because there are so many different things you could be. I was born a female, and that didn't sit well with what I had planned in my life, I guess. Because I've known ever since I was young that I wanted to be a guy. I didn't think it would ever happen, but I've always wanted it. Before, I hated everything. When going out, I felt like people were staring at me because I didn't dress the way I should and I didn't look how I should. I can't believe that some people are still actually going through it, because once you get past that little threshold and find out who you are and you start making those changes, it just makes everything easier and makes you a lot happier, that's for sure. When I was in high school at the end of grade 12-ish, some people knew what was going on and some people didn't. After high school is basically when I decided I need to do this. This needs to happen, because if I don't, something bad will happen, which is almost what did happen. I started to actually claw at my arms and stuff because of how uncomfortable I felt. If I didn't make this change, things would have turned out terribly. I probably would have made a terrible decision and probably ended up killing myself. That's probably where that would have ended if I didn't make that change. When I first decided that I needed to, I told my mother, and she told me that she loved me for the female that I was, and there shouldn't be a reason that I should change. And that kind of threw me into a downward spiral. It was a terrible time. I think she's still sort of trying to deal with that, 3 years later, and she still doesn't actually call me by my name. She will use my nickname, which is Dude, so it's obviously easier for her. My sister was awesome about it. My brother, not so much. He avoided it at all costs and took any chance he got, he would make me feel like crap. Finally, he's sort of starting to come around as well. My sister, who is 13 years old, was the most accepting out of anybody in my family. She started crying, but she's emotional. She just cries over anything. So when I told her, she was like, the only thing I don't want is your voice to change. It did change, obviously, but she didn't notice until I showed her my videos the other day. I first started making videos when I actually realized what I was going to do with my life. I thought maybe if somebody sees this, then it might help their life. It might help better them. You are supposed to have a therapist with you for the whole year. I went through this by myself. After being prescribed testosterone, my therapist dropped me. I continued to try to contact her to make appointments. It didn't happen. So I went a whole year going through this by myself. It was tough because, having new hormones in your body makes you freak out. Thankfully, I didn't lose it, and I actually was able to find a good spot where it was okay with me. I think what people should know is that just because whoever this person is changing doesn't make them a different person completely. It makes their outsides a little different. It'll probably make them happier, but as a person, it doesn't make them any different. When I was telling my sister what was going to happen with me, she actually listened to everything I had to say. And since that day that I told her, she always called me her brother, and that was awesome for me. So I think educating kids who are younger on what is actually out there would actually help, because I think personally, if I knew that when I was younger, then I wouldn't have gone through the somewhat terrible times that I did. I wouldn't change it because it made me who I am, but it definitely would have helped. Personally, I don't base myself off of my transition. I'm a guy. I've always been a guy. That's always been my mental thought. But every time something new's happened, I get all excited and I have to tell somebody, my facial hair is finally going up the side of my chin. That just excites me. Over the past couple days, because it was my 3-year maniversary, which is what I'm calling it, I find this past week has been awesome. Knowing that my family and everybody who's actually on Facebook with me, who I never told, and that was the first video that they ever saw, and they actually posted something that was positive towards me, that made me feel awesome. So knowing that you are going in the right direction with your life, even at the time where it may seem a little terrible, going with it is the best thing I've ever done. Now that things are better, it's awesome. I can't regret anything I've done.